Hello, everyone. This is the Paint the Town Red podcast, and I am your host, Chance Bowen. White House threatens mass layoffs ahead of possible shutdown in preparation for a potential federal government shutdown on October 1st. The Trump administration has ordered agencies to draft plans for significant workforce reductions. Well, we got to shrink the government, right? Comey, indicted in political flashpoint, former FBI Director James Comey is facing charges of making false statements to Congress and obstruction, a development that President Trump has publicly celebrated. Yeah, that's I don't know, that's like two clashing, like, the people in power. There's like two big groups of the oligarchy, and there's like factions of it that are like kind of coming on each other because James Comey's obviously corrupted, and so that's interesting to see. Don't really care, you know, because it's like those people are the ruling class, they're the ruling class, and they like made each other mad. Big deal. Neither of them are fighting for freedom or anything like that. New tariffs on drugs, trucks, and furniture announced. The U.S. will be imposing a sweeping import tariff 100% on branded drugs and 25% on heavy duty trucks, heightening trade tensions. Economy doesn't look to be doing too well from all of these tariffs. But again, tariffs, the main objective of the tariffs are not necessarily to help the economy right away. We're hoping that these renewed trade negotiations will one day lead to the U.S. being able to make more money on our trade rather than less. Crackdown on organized political violence expanded. President Trump broadens his efforts against what he calls coordinated left-wing political violence, including directing the IRS to scrutinize nonprofit funding. Okay, so I like the nonprofit funding the IRS, but I don't know. We got to be really careful. You got to be really careful because you got to remember the Democrats are going to be in office again. And when they do, they're going to have that power that Trump has, these new rules that Trump are instilling about left-wing violence and political, governing speech of any kind. We need to stay on both sides. Everybody, we need to stay as far away of that as we can. Yes, it sucks. Yes, people on the right are being killed, like Charlie Kirk, like the ICE agents recently, and these people that are radical lefties. Yes, and they're crazy, and they go online all the time, and we hear them, and they're annoying, and they suck. But we should not try to censor them and censor their speech. Reason being, they're going to censor our speech one day. And we don't want that. That's what keeps our country free. Drug pricing pilot sent to White House. The HSS and CMS have forwarded a global benchmark for efficient drug pricing, or also known as GLOBE, model to the White House for review, potential linking U.S. drug payments to international prices. So the U.S. drug prices are increasingly high because of our capitalistic system, and they can do it. And they pretty much take drugs that are like the cheap version of the drugs, and we don't allow them to be in the U.S. because we have a scrutinous policy of what drugs come in and out. And the ones that have the most money are the ones that come in, right? So they have to like pay the government off. It's very corrupt. And they want to lower those prices, so they're going to put in policy that's going to cause the prices to go low based on what the prices are around the globe, which will probably result in the prices just going up everywhere and these companies seeking more monopolies in other nations, which they already are. But I think what we should do is take the corruption out of the medicine world, and just because you pay off all the FDA and you give a bunch of money to research and everything else doesn't mean that whatever drugs you want to put in all of a sudden become on the market. We should allow the free market to dictate what medications we get and to drive their prices lower. Trump declared that he will not allow Israel to annex the occupied West Bank, stating it's not going to happen. This is pretty interesting. This is definitely a different direction. Hopefully all the Republicans are going to hear this on Fox News and go, yeah, okay. They're going to switch like on a dime. Yesterday, we're like, we have to support Israel, whatever they want to do. I trust Israel more than I trust even our own nation. That's literally the things I've heard before from these people. Now that Trump is coming out, obviously, to say that Israel is not going to annex the West Bank, please, come on. Come on, you guys. Your guy said it. Trump said it now, right? He's also saying that if the Russian planes come into NATO airspace again, he said to shoot them down. So we could be going into war here pretty soon. They also asked, some of the reporters were like, well, did you talk to Netanyahu about that? He said he did talk to Netanyahu, but he doesn't care whether he did or he didn't. He's not going to allow them to annex the West Bank. So I commend Trump for doing that. Thank you, President Trump. We have to be balanced in our perspective and in our foreign policy. I think this is a very balanced perspective. I hope the conservative Republicans will come along with Trump now and with us to, see that Israel is trying to annex the West Bank. That's why they're doing this. It'd be like imagine this. My neighbor kidnaps my daughter. So how do I get my daughter back? I bazooka his house in half. That's going to kill my daughter. They're not trying to get the hostages back. They maybe are, but their main goal is to annex the West Bank and to take over Gaza. That is what they're doing here. They're lying to you about them having any other any. Now, if they can get the hostages back, of course they would want to do that. But they're really using this in order to obtain Gaza. It was funny at the United Nations meeting we had. It was like America, China, and Russia, and all the other countries, and they're sitting around, and America's like, "How dare you try to put through a resolution that declares Palestine a state during a well-known Jewish holiday? It's anti-Semitic and unacceptable." And like Russia and China, like I know they didn't laugh because it's the UN. These are all like high, stuck-up people that are super pretentious. But I know they were laughing inside because it's like that might work in the United States of America. It's like pressuring us to not be anti-Semitic. It's not working with the younger people, but it's worked with everybody else. Russia and China are just not buying that at all. And it's kind of funny to watch them do that. They're like taking U.S. social norms and trying to appeal them to China and Russia. And like Russia doesn't even allow you to be gay. Like China will just kill you if you're open. Like they're just completely different nations. And it's funny seeing them argue. We have some other things. Let's see here. So I guess for the first time, besides during COVID, this is the first time in U.S. history that we have less jobs available than the amount of people who are unemployed and looking for jobs. Wow. Isn't that interesting? We're always told that we have job shortages. So our government and our society is not doing a good job at making native-born Americans, American citizens, hireable for those positions. That's the case. So our job should be to then make these people more hireable. I spoke a little bit earlier this week about Trump making the $100,000 H-1B visas, thanks to the Nick Fuentes podcast. That is not true. It's a one-time fee of $100,000, and it's pretty much cheaper than even before. And it's going to cause even more Indians to flood into our nation and people from other nations who are doing tech jobs. So it's very bad for us entirely. Not good. And they openly lied about it too. So I'm happy with Trump talking about the West Bank, but I'm not happy about the H-1B visa changes that have been made. It was just confirmed that the FBI had at least 275 undercover agents that took part in the January 6th supposed insurrection. What else do you need to know? Our government is sabotaging our people openly and blatantly and admitting it. Nancy Pelosi rejected help during January 6th, and we always wondered why. Now we know why. I mean, this is treasonous. We are completely enslaved by our government. The university, this is outside the US, but still very interesting. It's in the West, The University of Cambridge is combating nationalism by discontinuing teaching that Anglo-Saxon, Scottish, or Welsh are distinct ethnic groups tied with England. What? So not only are our leaders flooding our nations with other people, but they're starting to not even teach that there's a difference at all between the people. Now you say, oh my gosh, that's incredibly stupid, right? And that's incredibly, what's anti-nationalist? Is there an anti-nationalist? I guess internationalist? I don't know. Globalist? That's incredibly globalist to do, right? Well, let's look at who these people are. We do know that a lot of the people that are driving this narrative of people coming into this nation and just watering down the European race or the ethnic groups within Europe, just watering them down, actually not even giving credit to them at all and wanting to act like they don't even exist at all and there's no difference of people at all, not at all. And they're doing this. And if you go, well, who is doing this? Is it white people doing this? Well, not entirely. It's actually a ancient ethnic group that came to Europe a long time ago, and they want to make the world how they see it, which is open to renters. It's open to invaders. That's what they want the world to be because they themselves are invaders. Does it make sense? Is it making sense to you? Do you get that? I'm saying these things and I'm like trying to stay calm because I know I'm talking to people and maybe some of the people here are like, yeah, we know, we get it. And then some of the people are like just hearing this for the first time, and it's like, whoa, 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 this is nuts to them. But it's like, I'm trying to stay calm because, I mean, all of the things our founding fathers done, all of the teachings that we've gotten throughout our entire life about how great America is and how strong and the best nation in the world is America and da 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 da. And yet those same people who told us that are allowing us to be invaded. They've sold out to the Jewish people. And yet you mention it and they're calling me a radical racist? No, you're a spineless, disgusting traitor of your own nation, and you need to wake up. Now, who are the people that led the initiative to get Cambridge to say that Anglo-Saxon is not a distinct ethnic group and is not tied into the English Empire at all? And actually, it's just the immigrants created Europe. Actually, we owe everything to the Europeans. I mean, everything to everyone who's not European. That's who we owe. We owe the blacks. We owe the Arabs. We owe the Asians. Everybody that's not white, we owe them. And it's not even white people who are directing this initiative. It's Jewish people who are not from Europe, who are not white. They're the ones who are doing this. They are in positions of power. They have taken the helm of the boat and they're steering us towards an iceberg on purpose. And you sit there and you protect them. You argue that they should have an ethnic state of Israel, but America and Europe are not ethnic states and they're built by immigrants. It's the stupidest betrayal of all time. And then you know what you focus your time on? You focus your time on making sure that young people like me don't say racial slurs because they could get canceled. They can get canceled. Our nation has been invaded. 100 people a day that are women are getting raped in Paris. 100 per day. 60 of them which are underage. We are being invaded, raped, and pillaged. And all you care about is that someone doesn't say a racial slur, and we have social boundaries that we need to stick by. How spineless and gay and stupid can you be? All right, I'm going to calm down. Who are the people behind leading this initiative for Cambridge? We're going to look them up together. Mary Rambaran. She is a board member who was on the executive board, and she actually resigned. And in her resignation, she wrote a letter describing the reason she's is because of the language used around ethnicity and race when it comes to Anglo-Saxons. Mind you, this is a medieval sector of the state or of the college. This is medieval history that they're studying. And yet she doesn't want them to mention Anglo-Saxon as a distinct ethnic group or Scottish or Welsh or anyone else. And then you have British people on TV right now saying, we owe a lot to the immigrants. The immigrants built this nation. The immigrants built Europe. They built England. Yeah, it was the immigrants that did it. Sir, you're English? Yes, I am, sir. Okay, yes. If someone comes here from sub-Saharan Africa and they go to England and they're born there, their parents are there, and then they're born there, are they English? Well, yes, they are. According to our constitution, they are 100% English now. No, they're not. They're not. Okay? What is this? Fairy tale land? I mean, what happened? What in the heck happened to the older generation? What happened to them? Why would the greatest generation happen? They were masculine, they were cool, they were dope, rode up on tanks, D-Day, right? And then their kids are just the weakest, most pathetic people that just want to sell us out at every second and just let us be invaded. What happened? Well, I think I know what happened, but I'll say that for another day. Okay, let's see here. Mary Rambaran. Let's see here. Mary Rambaran. Let's see. At Cambridge University. This is the nail biter. On this episode of Are They Jewish? Couldn't find any credible sources that says she is Jewish, i.e. practicing Judaism or identifying as Jewish. Her public biography describes her as Afro-Indian. Oh, so she's an African. She's Afro-Indo Caribbean descent. Wow. So she's African and she's resigning and pressuring the board in Cambria to be not signify as being distinctly different from any other group ethnically. And there are men in that organization that are going, yeah, right, that's great, yeah. I think she's onto something. Yeah. You guys are idiots. You're disgusting. You disgust me. Okay, let's move on. Move on to Rosalind Love, who is the executive editor, so maybe the most responsible. Women just got the right to vote. First thing they do, get in society and want to destroy it. They want to have everybody just invade us, and they just want to destroy it and weaken it on every front. Great job, women. Good job. Let's see. Rosalind Love says no credible source that she's Jewish. What's her ethnicity? No ethnicity. Could not find reliable evidence on what her ethnicity is. They describe her as British, so maybe she's just a British-born person. Okay. Let's go move on to Simon Keynes. They just don't even have their ethnic background. Okay, let's look at a photo of them, and we'll just tell you based on the photo if ChatGPT doesn't want to tell us. Now it's giving us a picture of people. Okay, moving on. That was boring. I guess I went off on a tangent. All right, I don't know. It looks like we don't know the ethnicity of any of them besides the one who's black, I guess. Well, okay. Okay, you can't blame them just because their ethnicity. The fact of the matter is, who cares about their ethnicity? What matters is that they're selling out our own people, and they're not wanting to designate us and give us any credit for anything. They're saying immigrants built the entire West and that we owe our lives to them and that we should never classify us as any distinct group of any group of people, and that there actually are no even Europeans. There's only just people in Europe, and all these other groups need to come in here and just mix with us because we need them to. End of story. Goodbye. Childbirth rate super low, going extinct. Nobody cares. Your grandparents are now yelling at you to stop saying the N-word publicly. That's all they care about. Putting boundaries, putting us in a cage. That's what they want to do. We're trying to save the nation, wake everybody up, and they want to put us in a cage like we're animals, like we're slaves. That's what they're trying to do to you. I don't want to get involved in politics. I just don't really give a shit. I'm cutting that out. I don't really care. My God. And you're just watching the nation burn down and you don't care about that? You'll find him at Buffalo Wild Wings cheering on the Raiders. Yeah, man, yeah. Right on the play, man. Meanwhile, there's people outside dying of fentanyl on the streets. And then further down the street at the abortion clinic, a baby's getting ripped out of the inside of a 16-year-old girl. And then further down the street, there's a surgical operation going down where a man's getting his wiener chopped off because he's trans. That's the society we live in, and all you care about is my mustache? Disgusting. This is the Paint the Town Red podcast. We hope you guys have a wonderful week. It's Friday. Fun Friday. And we are going to be going live tonight at 7 p.m. Pacific time. So if you have anything that you want to bring to the conversation, I'd love for you to tune in. If you're somebody who doesn't typically agree with all the things I say, please tune in. I would love to argue with you because I love to argue. All right, that's it. Have a good one. Goodbye.